So jackknife is another exercise that I think has a lot of different variations, maybe a lot of different goals. And I'm not saying that there's one that's right and there's all these others that are wrong or anything like that. But I really do have some fun with experiencing certain things. I had a comment in class today about, whether someone should or shouldn't do jackknife. And we were talking about how they just couldn't get their legs up there. And I felt like I don't think it's so much about my legs. Well, it is. It's definitely about everything. But maybe there's something that it's about only because that thing is missing. So what if it were about your arms? What if it were about using your arms in a way that we don't really use them as humans? So we're still animals. We're just a certain, we're not a dog, we're not a bird, we're not a cat, we're not a horse, an elephant, a monkey. We're a human. And that doesn't make us less animal. And what if we used our arms in a way that other animals use them? Yes, we're on two, we're bipedal, but I think we could make more of them. And I think that if we did, we might get more out of something, because we're supposed to use the whole body. It's for the body. So what if we really played with how our arms addressed the ground when we played with exercises? Someone said it beautifully. Laurie Coleman Brown said it really beautifully in a mat class, which was, the mat is your apparatus. So what if we really, really heard that, not only with our feet, not only with our hips, not only with our rib cage, but with our head and with our arms. So I'm going to suggest that we could use our arms a whole lot more, much like revisiting Swan from the mat work in jackknife. And for some that can't do jackknife for one reason or another, or can't do it yet, maybe we don't have to avoid certain aspects of the exercise and still get the juice out of those portions of the exercise if we played with it in a different way. So I'm going to explain that to you, hopefully, and move in my body to hopefully help explain that. So I'm going to start with back press. Could be seen as a pelvic lift, but I call it back press, and the Center for Spatial Medicine calls it back press because we are pressing back. So I'm pressing back press with my arms. So this is very much an arm exercise, as much as a lengthening of the front body exercise, which is also a hip extension, hamstring exercise. It is not a push, a pelvic push. It is a back press. So that's another conversation that I would really like to find those hamstrings, because I will need them to go into my jackknife in a way that picks me up off of my upper body. So I want to play. So I'm going to take my legs long. I'm going to take them to 90 degrees. Here is jackknife. I'm going to press through my palms and go over about 2/3 up the wall with my legs. So that would be about a 120-degree angle, 2/3. So from there, I'm going to use the extension of my hip, and the extension or arm line. So I'm going to roll my arms to externally roll them. It's lifting my spine up, and I'm taking my legs up as far away from me as I can to lengthen my front line. Then I'm going to roll my arms back down to their original position, lower the legs, and then I'm going to roll into my back body to 90 degrees. You do that again. Press, open, return, and down. So there is a dynamic to this. You wind up with the rollover. You explode into your jackknife. I think of growing out into my jackknife, and then return. So over, press, open, return, and roll. Now, if I wanted to play with this and rolling over or the actual full expression of jackknife was not available, then I'd go into it through back press. And I want to think about the oppositional aspect of it. So oftentimes you'll hear a classical teacher talk about the two-way stretch. Well, the two-way stretch, it gives you tensile strength, so tensional integrity. It's like pulling something and turning it into a long bridge instead of letting it sink into a hammock. So if I press back with my palms and reach my knees, I want to continually think about the two-way stretch aspect. I'm going to reach through my knees. I'm going to roll my arms so that my thumbs reach the mat and press into the floor with a different part of my arm than I started with. It's opening my chest in a different way, and I'm still reaching my knees away from that. So I've got a long stretch to the front of my body with no shortening in my lower back. And then I'm going to turn the palms and I'm going to come down. I'm going to do that again. Press back, knees reach. I'm going to keep the knees. I'm going to reach the arms and press into the floor. I'm going to return the arms and I'm going to come down. I'll do it just one more time. Press. Open. Return. And down. So adding the arms to that in that way, that opening, that extension that opens all the way through the chest and all the way down to the pubic bone, it takes away the need for me to use a push from the pelvis to take the legs up. And that means that that extension of my hips is also pulling my lower back spine with more room for the discs. So it may not look aerodynamic on the outside, but there is no compressed load in the front or the back of that spine. Over time, it may become more aerodynamic visually, which is great, and that's what our goal is. And I would suggest that we do it that way instead of make it too perfect to start with. Let the process and the exercise itself create the opening for you over the repetition of doing it, what does he say, 3 times a week sort of as a minimum. So again, just more thoughts that hopefully might give you a way to approach this that will, again, return your body to life. So restore your system to its most balanced and healthy being. Thanks, you guys. Be well.